Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And we promise you the second game in this particular quintet overall of the Season 6 finals. Rank, we're on Chedron here. What are Nilla and, the quadruple U bringing on here?
On the left-hand side in the blue, we have UUU playing as 20th Jaeger, Maverick Income. Right-hand side in red, we have Nilla playing Blind Data with a Maverick Income. And we're seeing an early run 110 to counter its early German reconnaissance plane, which is going to drop the off-map, but probably is not going to make it out alive, I think.
No, it's definitely going to drop the beat over here, I will say that.
Maybe not, actually. Oh, okay.
Please.
Yeah.
That BF-110 is a monster. So much ammunition. But yeah, so the early kind of town fight over here, you're actually going to see that Nilla is not investing too much into it, which might come back to bite him in the backside here.
Yeah, it's actually pretty light. I mean, if looking down south, he's trying to go for this southern hill pretty hard with all the infantry and lightly armored vehicles, including a Stu-42.
And in the Stu-42, it's going to be more than enough to push back, I think, the Romanians here. No, excuse me, the Jaegers over here. And we talked about this before we really kind of went live. The Jaegers, close-in infantry is a lot of fun. They have the STG-44s and all of that. My major contention is that their armor tab is just so lackluster, like it's really almost painful to be in.
Yeah, it's really just like a German infantry division. I mean, it's a light German infantry division, like, technically speaking. So, I mean, the tanks are... Yeah, the thugs are alright. I mean, I kind of prefer Panzer IVs, honestly.
Well, you get a chance to see them, or at least the kind of licensed knockoffs that the Romanians had. And, well, down to the south, the Venators are saying hello, Moto, and kind of going into the trees. Not too much shock there.
Yeah, and the CQ, I mean, the CQC, the Jaegers should perform pretty well, but at the same time, as you know, Romanian troops are pretty damn good. The Venatori Motos with the 2MG or ZB-30s do have that CQC trait, which does help out quite a bit, as we can see in CQC firefights.
Exactly. It's like maybe that one, not that first guy who kind of got, bit the farm there. But the BF-110 actually doing a very, very good job. Actually, if you look to the north, he was able to retard the kind of initial shove here, and I mean, that town can get ugly very quickly.
Yeah.
And yet somehow... Yes, sir, please.
Oh, no, the main thing is that at least UU has managed to capture both flags for the time being. The other actually avoiding the flags completely in terms of, like, deployment. I think his platoon coming in may try and actually go for the attack.
Real quick, down to the south, Southern Hillside's going to be hit by basically, 500 some odd pounds of just, like, obnoxiousness. Yep. Not quite the same thing of the rocket planes of Tuesday's replay, but regardless, a very, very big kaboom.
Mm-hmm. Enough to pretty much secure this hill here for Nilla. I mean, most of UU's infantry is now down on the bottom side of it. And it's going to be very hard for him to get a good foothold back on there. We are seeing some 60mm mortar play to just stress out the rest of the guys on the plateau.
Well, and that's the thing that I think we kind of danced around in terms of the Jaegers. Is that, yes, in close quarters, CQC, they are not quite the epitome, but they're pretty dang close. Problem is that after you shove them out of that short-range firefight, really, really hurting.
Yeah, and also just Nilla has a lot of good fire support here with the 222s and just pretty much just a numbers game in infantry. I mean, backing up the Venatoris with Panzer Grenadiers is a very good idea, as those Panzer Grenadiers can provide long range and the Venatoris a close range.
Checking back in on the northern side, this town fight has bogged down way more than you may have wanted it to go.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those things you want to desperately get through the town as quickly as possible and set up a blocking force. Yes, I get there's two flies under control here, but one of them is only the most tenuous of ideas right now, and if you can only barely hold the town, it's not going to go well.
Indeed. It's not too bad, Joe. At least UU does have both flags, yeah. Usually, you want to have a better control of his town, of course. Nilla having that little, strip down south definitely puts a little bit of strain here on UU's front line.
Mhm.
But usually, it's never really worthwhile to fully push the town. Usually just want to hold on to the 2 flags and call it a day. Because it's just way too costly in terms of resources, having to fight a mini Stalingrad up here.
Yes. Jaeger Fusiliers, though, this would be an excellent unit, kind of stopgap, at least for right now. But while that's happening, like you said, he's just pushing everywhere, and it's causing some hassles here. Actually, I like the 60 mil smoke play that's happening. Not allowing really anybody on that hillside to be shot, including those rather necessary 222s.
Indeed, indeed. You're also seeing you actually getting a good foothold back into the hill, moving in some Sturmjägers and Jaegers. And at close range it should be pretty deadly, but Nilla still has the Pioneer Assault, which does have 2 flamethrowers. So if he can get him into position, he should be able to kick UUU off this hill once again.
True. Once again, more air power being dispatched back to the mountaintop here. Gonna go after those Panzerjägers, and really, when you think about it, that's not something you really want to be dealing with either.
Yes.
And, sorry, we got distracted by this 45 mil getting barraged into, really, Hungary over here. And I would say he's thirsty for more, but, I mean, I think he's had enough. I think he's definitely had enough.
I've seen the Stu-42 having to engage with some anti-tank guns, and actually shooting the MG-42 first, so I don't think he has eyes on the 45mm. Which is not ideal, because the 45mm was trying to kill him.
Yeah, but I think it was more of a contemptuous move. It was like, yo, I know you theoretically can kill me, but this is how little I care about you right now, bro.
Real power play.
Oh yeah, dude, he was gonna take a full Slav squat on that one just to be like a jerk. Actually, and this is a sincere question, I don't know. Romanians are technically part of the Slav squad.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
This
is gonna get this is gonna get weird. But I know like the language isn't like Eastern Cyrillic style. It's more in line with Romantic languages, as you can kind of tell by the unit names. But I'm not an expert in Romanian culture, so I'm gonna leave that and let the comments just figure it out.
Got you. Rang doesn't know the language of love. Got it. Cool. Yep. All right. 15-9 over here to go 8 minutes in. I mean, the Maverick income was something we haven't really talked about. In fact, we don't think we really hit a whole lot of the economic talk as 60 mil mortars continue just to pound the front lines. And that's going to wait just for another second or two. As, again, this is just... It's murderous fire. And there's just constant mini barrages here. And there they are. Somehow lost 60 mils despite right by the front lines.
Yeah, just like in Tuesday's match, like Nilla's doing a very good job of providing fire support through airstrikes and artillery. And on a map like Kiss on the southern side, where the units are so concentrated on this hill, like you can just, you know where the enemy are, even if you don't see them. You just mortar the general direction and people die.
Well, and I like this idea too. He's literally just walking fire up this boulevard. You might say it's a boulevard of broken dreams. But all I can say right now is it's certainly not going to be a Green Day.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
But hey, maybe I'm just an American idiot.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything.
Well, you know, there's not many talks about Canadians here. Like, I'm sorry. It just, you know, Yoker's down to the south. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Are there a lot of Canuck songs?
What do you mean Canuck songs?
Well, like American Idiot. Like, I'm trying to think of like what's the Canuck version of American Idiot.
I can't think of one. There probably is like probably a good equivalent, but I can't think of one right now. No.
Okay. I don't know. It's just that it's, you know, again, as we're exploring different cultures here, just that it suddenly kind of occurred to me. Northern side, again, this town fight has just become just a just like deadly gnawing match. It's not even like a true fight anymore. It's just this feeding on every bit of flesh being thrown into it.
Yeah, the Northern Town fight is usually just a meat grinder for the infantry tab. It doesn't, I mean, it comes as like tactics and strategy in it, of course, but it really does feel like you just throw in more dudes and essentially you know, wear down the enemy, sprinkle in some off-map artillery strikes, and you're good to go.
No, bizarrely enough, though, the Hungarians or Romanians should not. I got hungry. The Romanians shouldn't be winning a numbers fight. The 20th Jaeger should have an absolute ridiculous amount of kind of advantage on the infantry numbers.
Oh yeah, the Jaegers are one of my favorite infantry units because they're 20 points. They have a Panzerfaust. They're really good in CQC, and they have like very generous availability. You get 32 of them per card in C phase. I didn't know like Germany was producing so many bloody Jaegers. But anyway, they're pretty damn good troops. But they're just not working out all that well here for UUU. Nilla's been definitely getting much more bang for his buck out of his infantry.
Well, and the lungs aren't going very well either. I mean, the one thing that's positive for these lungs is that there is a Stug on that hillside. And he's going to cause quite a bit of havoc here, but the Pioneer Assault Team technically should be able to force a surrender. I wouldn't want to be them, but again, technically possible.
Yeah, that is. I think he just wants to keep him back for the time being, just in the deep forest, because if anything comes near him in that deep forest, they're gonna burn to death. And that's not a pleasant way to go, Khan.
I can't say that I've done it before, but I'll have to take your word for it.
Mm-hmm. At least, like, UU has managed to regain the southern hill, which is I mean, getting onto the hill is one thing, but being able to actually deploy like guns onto it for fire support is another. And right now UU is just barely holding onto it, really. We're seeing another counterattack here from Nilla down south with the Vanatory mottos and some more armored vehicles.
Actually bring any P4s? There's just that one P4, I think it's just kind of vaguely watching the road. And yep, Jaeger's forced out early on, and in the open those guys are not going to do well.
Yeah, that's not going to be a pleasant time for them. You see EU trying to put another attack onto the lungs here, but the Pioneer Assault, of course, extremely deadly at CQC. I mean, yes, Jaeger's also pretty good at CQC and Sturmjägers too, but when someone's shooting two flamethrowers at you, you can't really do too much about it.
True. But I think that's why you just gotta force the other guy to go first, and then just kind of clean up the mess.
Yeah, that's really it. You get them right in the middle of the reload.
Well, that's why we have the Sturmjägers over here. They're going to do very, very well for the time being. But they're still going to take decent losses, I would argue. 30%, 40% loss. Yeah, that's not really the kind of numbers you want to be losing.
No, but he's going to get onto that hill at least, and very close to retaking that flag. But still, just a very good offensive push here from Nilla, and still up north, that is like extremely back and forth. I mean, EU has managed to retake at least one of the flags in the town here. And he does have definitely a numbers advantage currently in the town with his infantry. He could potentially make the push on the Vanatory horde.
I think that's just because the 210 off-map hasn't been brought in.
Oh yeah.
Because that would be more than enough to, I think, crack this open, or at least force even more Germans into this particular position. And that is almost as good as actually taking that town.
Yeah. I also think what's really helping Nilla in these infantry fights up north and down south has been the airstrikes and the 60mm mortars, as absolutely. I mentioned before, but especially the 60 mils. It's like such good mortars for the price, especially in these town fights, because just very quick and easy suppression, which is what you need.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have the sharpshooting up there, say upstairs. Sharpshooting up there, actually, Focke-Wulf's gonna maybe silence this. This might be the death. Yep, this is gonna be a death. It's gonna be bad.
I only gets one? Is he gonna... Oh, no.
That was a nice counterplay.
Yeah, he really... I mean, it's a lot of bombs to kill just 80 points worth of units, but he really needed to, because those mortars were proven to be a pain in the ass. Even shoots down a old and clunky BF 1110 on his way back home.
That's true. Very, very true. Lungs have been momentarily seized. But it looks like there's definitely more blood going back into them. As is this entire column of just like everything. So 60 mils coming in here, more motos, and there's just enough, I would argue, anti-air that the ADA should be more than enough to keep those Focke-Wulfs at bay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, a moto van and a Jaeger squad kind of shot past each other. I'm not sure if they were waving or what it was, but it felt very kind of like Dirty Dozen for a second there.
Yeah, and we're seeing this crazy push here from Nilla up north with the Vanatories, kind of just charging right in. Very close to actually getting into that town, but he's not going to be able to get too much further.
Well, he's going to sack a JU-87. I think he's used just to crack the front lines, which is an interesting call. This is not what I would have expected.
Yeah, Nilla likes actually using cluster bombers to stress out infantry, which is a very unorthodox usage of them. But it can work if you do follow up correctly and actually get the surrenders.
Well, hey, it's 16-8, so he's got to be doing something. But as we fade further and further into Phase B here, we are seeing that the northern town fight is going further and further into Nilla's favor.
Yeah, just he's managing to bring up enough fire support, and especially now getting some tanks and armoured vehicles into his town. I mean, UUU does have the Snug, but it's currently not in a useful position to actually provide fire support, so he will be changing his course momentarily.
Right by the time that P4's going to introduce his 75 mil at him.
Yep, he's going to get a very quick first shot for his defensive position.
Well, a 2-star P4 is deliciously good.
Now, it seems like Nilla's going to be able to actually crack the nut of this northern town here. He's very close to doing so.
We have the TACM T60s. Oh my gosh.
Oh, those things.
Yes. They're not quite Pinocchio tanks. They're a little more good looking than that. But these are the things that they're, decently quick for their size. You can see 23 and 40, on and off over here. But the 76-2s, I want to say they were just basically gun carriages from the Soviet equipment, wasn't it?
It was just a T-60 with an F-22 gun on strapped on top.
They put a Raptor aircraft gun on top of it?
I know, they were the Romanians were actually pretty advanced. I do find, like, the TACM T-60 hilarious, because, usually when the Germans make tank destroyers from enemy equipment, it's like, okay, we put German gun on top of Russian vehicle, or Czech vehicle, or insert country invaded here vehicle. The Romanians just went, hey, we have Russian tank and Russian large gun. Let's just put the large gun on top of the Russian tank. Really, the Russians could have made the TACM 60s themselves, but, I mean, they didn't need to. They had Su-76s.
We are going to see, right now, there's 37 mils are engaging, and there's a 50 mil down south, that these TACMs are pretty much going to get roasted. Yep, one's already down. But the purpose has been served. He does know there's a reinforcement column coming on in, and he's kind of saying, hey, dude, you know what? You have to come to me.
Yeah.
It's 16-8. You've got to be super aggressive, because otherwise in 6 minutes this is only going to get worse.
Yep, and with both players being Maverick, I mean, time is on Nilla's side. It doesn't really matter if it goes to C phase when both are playing such aggressive incomes. I did like how the Stud came in and finished off the second TACMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went away from that because I just thought that this is a family cast, and I didn't want to subject our children out there to such horrible
predators. You gotta really be careful, guys.
Exactly. There is a pushback onto these lungs, which I very much like. A nice blend of Jaegers or Storm Jaegers, and a heck in the Pioneer Squad as well. So the motos, they're going to be good. Don't get me wrong. I don't see them lasting very long though.
No.
So.
It's that huge concentration. If you can just pick these guys off one at a time, you should be able to clear through the forest. But even then, I mean, Nilla's putting infantry in the northern end of the forest. And there's that Stug here, which is going to help secure the flag, and the Pioneers can't do too much about it. But still, he's just putting pressure all over the bloody place.
He is. He is. And shockingly enough, the Pioneers are chasing off that Stug. Checking back into the north real quick. There was an off-map. Oh, a 210 off-map. Okay. 210 off-map is going to go and cause some issues over here. Stug being forced back by mortar play. And it looks like the only one who's really going to get caught by this is probably that P4. Which is a bit unfortunate, but, yep, that poor P4 is going to get hammered.
Really live? That would be the interesting question.
Likely. BF-110. Searching for, yeah, so that off-map is super doomed. Yep.
Good snipe.
And that was with no scope, too, so...
The pilot's had his eyes closed as well.
The co-pilot was not happy about that particular decision. BF-110 being chased away here, not too surprising. He's making a weird kind of like half run on that Focal. Yeah.
Yeah, now's the time to spiker off. Fjordy, get out a little ahead. Yeah, run 110.
We are seeing some wild swings in this town. I think I didn't quite appreciate how thinly held those lines were.
Yeah.
You see, like, one moto squad goes down, and suddenly it's like, aha, yes, there is nobody here for another 50 yards in any direction, and there we go.
Yeah, Strike actually managed to get quite a bit of suppressive fire here. Nilla Vanatories, you know, they all died, but Nilla has more of them in his deck somewhere. He's pulling them out like a cheap bag of, like a cheap card trick. I don't know where I was going about, like, facsimile or whatever. Anyway, the main thing is that UUU has managed to get back the 2 flags in the town, and even though I actually got down to a 14-10, which isn't too bad, even though Nilla has been definitely leading in terms of the momentum, I mean, UUU has been striking back, but he just hasn't been able to make, like, an effective large counter push of his own. He's only been able to really, you know, even up the line to that 50-50 mark.
Well, isn't that kind of the problem, though, too? Is that if you're going to go and try to fight a match, you can't really go and go half measures. You have to actually take territory.
Especially if Maverick income. I mean, I guess in Maverick, it's less needed for you to push early on, but it's still better for you to do that because, you know, you have lots of points by a huge blob of insert regular rifle infantry here.
That's true, but I would still opine that the 20th Jaeger gets weaker as the game goes longer, as opposed to the Blindata, you know, Amare over here. They still tend to be decently effective.
Yeah, I mean, for the Jaeger, it's going to come down to just having all that Jaeger spam. I mean, he does have that C-phase card, of course, which definitely gives him that availability. But right now, we've just had a point to, you know, checking out. Only 4 minutes till Nilla takes the victory. You know, if Nilla keeps up the pressure like this, he's going to be fine. The availability isn't going to matter.
Highly unlikely, anyway, that's for sure. We are seeing this moto, so there's a sniper squad down here, and they are just holding up this entire reinforcement. Wow, I did not expect 3 men to be able to interdict, like, 5 squads.
God damn. It's a bloody good sniper team.
I mean, they're not going to make it back home to pick up their medals, but, like, this is how you want to see snipers getting used.
Yeah, harass the enemy, keep him down.
I mean, you don't want to be the guy getting, you know, facing them like this, but regardless.
Regardless, yeah. But no, that's great. Even just snipers forcing enemy infantry transports to unload soon is perfect. You slow down a reinforcement line at least for, you know, just shooting a few rifle bullets. That's great in terms of, like, economic trading.
Well, we are going to see there is a couple of desultory engagements going against these pioneers over here on the lungs. But the Jaeger pioneers are, shockingly enough, not going to be able, in my mind, to push everything back as necessary.
No, we're going to see Nilla come in with the attack arms once again, and the armored support is going to be enough to secure this hill, unless the Jaegers can come in and get some good Panzerfaust plays, but there's enough infantry actually covering the Tackums to keep him fine.
Now, KD, call it, because I feel like right now, if I were to guess, I would think maybe 500. This doesn't feel like it was a merciless game one way or the other.
I'm gonna say 700 for entertainment's sake, but I feel like your number is probably gonna be more correct, Khan.
Well, I mean, either way, it's one of those things that I'm thinking of looking at this town fight. this town fight, usually I feel like this more metropolitan side, the side that's further away from the map edge, is more generally held, but I feel like it did not do any favors for UUU today.
No, he spent a lot of effort, yeah, fighting back and forth, and it's just a lot of resources fighting over that town. While Nilla just managed to keep up the pressure down south to actually, keep out. He wasn't securely holding the lungs or the southern hill, but he was holding either long enough to actually get points.
Wow.
Oh wow! We're like
practically nothing. Jeez.
We're completely wrong, Khan, once again.
Well, I think it's just because I'm so thrown by the fact we've seen two, like, dissension in the Axis ranks over here.
Yeah.
Like, we're used to seeing, Cold War stuff where we have Soviets, red on blue stuff. But here we have consistently just seen Axis on Axis play.
I guess in a way this isn't super inaccurate, because the Romanians would end up fighting against the Axis, like, more towards the end. Like, hey, Soviet Union, we're sorry. Please don't, like, completely destroy our country.
And therein is the rub, isn't it? It's one of those things that's kind of like, yeah, it's, please, we're friends, right?
We're friends, right? Communism, yeah, I guess that's cool. We can live with that.
And then Ceausescu comes.
Ah.
Luber, in the meantime, going to go and kind of just stop it on by. Kills a couple of things over here. That Flocka Wolf, decent job, not great. There's not a whole lot of standouts really on this match on either side, except for maybe Jobst, which apparently are Jobst, who, like it was his Jobst, killed many, many people.
Luber during, yeah, decent. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's nothing really too crazy. That was like a pretty bloody match from both sides. I mean, Nilla mainly just meant to like keep it past the 60% line pretty much to, just get that initial territory grab, and then it was back and forth like between the 60% line of the map. But it really felt like Nilla was using just more like just all the support fire of the artillery and airplanes. Definitely allowed him to just keep coming back and not. Like, he would get pushed back, but he wouldn't get pushed back too far, and UU never was able to completely exploit any of Nilla's retreats. He only ever managed to get back to the 50-50 line.
Exactly. But hey, 2-0 right now over here for Nilla over U to the 4th. It's not over yet. I mean, it sounds like we do have a singer kind of warming up, but it ain't over yet, so... Thoughts about number 3? Well, I don't have them. You don't have them. Probably a good idea for people to check back over here on Saturday for a rare third replay this week. We want to continue giving you guys all the coverage we can of these finals. But final thoughts, sir?
No, but very good match from both sides. Hopefully you can gain a victory.
Hopefully, I'm just looking. I want to see something where we actually some, legitimate World War II action here. I don't want to see any more of these kind of blue on blue ideas. But regardless, we'll see what happens over here. Folks, until Saturday, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.